How's it going, YouTube? Coming to today with another video, and today, guys, the brand new is going to be the state of the game. I really do appreciate each and every one of you for all the support on the videos lately. I wanted to make this because going into ICS Orlando, there's a lot to talk about, and I'm going to keep updating you with everything I know until we get there as well. This game changes from day to day, from hour to hour, on what's going to be really good and what's going to be really bad, and that's all based off of trends. If we see things that are really trendy and things that are really good, then maybe we still see that in like 2 weeks, but that could also change dramatically. So we're going to be talking about a lot of the goods, a lot of the bads, as far as card choices going into this event as well, and how big of an impact are some of the new cards going to be. If you haven't already checked out my sponsors over on Imperium, Dragonshield, Gem, Cloud, RW, Grimoire, definitely go ahead and do so, all down below in the description. Also, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because we're aiming for 30,000, and I cannot wait to get there. It's going to be so much fun. But without further ado, let's hop on into our first slide. So this keeps happening, and it's kind of crazy. Now, Dynam Morphia is no stranger to Top Cut. This deck does sneak in at 1 into many different Top Cuts, which is pretty cool to see. But out of all the decks that I thought would randomly pop off this format, it was not Dynam Morphia. This is 1-2 back-to-back regionals and just top 8'd another regional. And the culprit? We're not playing back row out. Lightning Storms, Dusters, Cosmics, they're not real. We're not playing those cards. And Super Poly is also just not in the format. So this deck has the most easy street wins right now, because the answer to Rexterm and being able to have a in-archetype Solemn Judgment and Strike in one card. Then they have Ferret Flames, which is just an evenly matched. There's so many different cards that this deck has access to, and it's kind of crazy. But no one's really playing Lightning Storm or Duster, Cosmic, because there's no room in the side deck. Like, there's nothing that you really want to cut right now. And that's where I think cards like Thrust end up showing up in the main deck to be able to make room for the side deck. Just because right now, where you find that most extra decks are tight in most formats, right now, the side deck's kind of very tight, so it's hard to cut certain cards. Shoutouts to Evan. This is one of their lists from winning a regional. It's very cool, honestly, to see a deck like this perform. Grandhorn is something we used to play against Pendulum. That card's insane. It's just like the Sangan Kaiho. This is a card that just ends the main phase, and it clears a inherent summoned monster, right? So pretty nice card for them. They have the 2 Ferret Flame, the 3 Solemn Judgment, 3 Strike, 3 Iron Thunder. It's a lot of counter traps. So definitely a very cool deck overall. I'm glad to see it doing well too, because this is a relatively budget deck. So if you need something to go to an event with and do well, this is something that you can catch people really off guard. There is a Malice combo floating around right now with a Balakui. This card does include a Fiend to summon, so people are going into Nightmare Phoenix to go into a Bow. This card is really strong in non-targeting destruction, and then also it can be a Reborn for a later Dark. And lastly, during the standby phase, when it comes back, it's basically a Saryuya, which is kind of nuts. This card's very, very strong, and if you can pick one up, I would. So again, it does include a Fiend. This was, I believe, indirectly Evil Twin support, but even that deck right now is just not doing anything, right? But the card is very good. The card is very strong, and if you can pick it up, you should. This is a 1-card Malice combo to go like a Balakui, Griffin, what have you. This is popping up more though, so you should be aware that Nightmare Griffin will pop up on some end boards. Before it was lesser, now we're seeing it a bit more. So you need to make sure that you have an out for Nightmare Griffin. This card can be extremely annoying to out just because the effect is just a blanket one, and usually your opponent will not give you a link arrow to point to. So you have to find your way through without using a special summoned monster effect. Welp, we are finally at a point where there are 9 Molcharmies in the game, and you're gonna get hit by one of them, if not 2. So Pure Tenpai playing 9 Molcharmies, you could see it. You really could. But at the end of the day, I think the more popular ones this format are going to be Fuwa and Miwals. We're not going to really see a whole lot of Perulia. I don't really find that card to be the most common right now. But these two are very strong. And I feel like Miwals especially is just going to be the card that people are going to play because it's new. And Perulia is really just an upstart right now. It's not really been that particularly good. So I could see Miwaz be a very important card moving forward, especially against decks like Mitsurugi. So it's not really a secret. Twins of the Eclipse is just the mainstay, the main focus of the format. This card is really strong and allows you to go ahead and just reborn. It does need to reborn and attach. So if you have a Bestial, you can go ahead and clear either target. But a lot of times it's just going to be one monster on the board, so if it gets cleared, you can't get Bestialed. So at that point, you want to play things like DD Crow, Bell, and even if you really want to, Meister, but you're not playing that card realistically. So this is something that you do want to look out for. If you have Book of Eclipse, you need like a Book of Eclipse and Bell. This has quickly become a shifter meta as well. So if you can run a shifter deck, you should run a shifter deck. Because Ryal Fiendsmith realistically can't do anything under shifter. The other thing is that if you are playing Ryal, I'd be making a Blind Dweller more often than not. I think that Dweller is another card that's very strong into this matchup currently, just because you shut off things like Twins, you shut off Druis, you shut off Fiendsmith cards, you shut off Mirios that get sent. So this is something that I find is very, very important, just to make sure that your board is safe under a lingering effect and you're not playing it into talent. You'll play into thrust, but talent won't be live as long as you shotgun Dweller in the draw phase. Ulti Slayer, this is just a premium card right now. You should be on this as a playset as 2 of 1 and 3 thrust. Whatever you can, you should be on Slayer right now. This card's kind of cracked. Again, just Twin is a problem, so if you can bounce the Detonator, then you don't have to worry about a Detonator coming back to the board ever, because it's just not there, and they can bring back whatever they want with Twin. Usually it won't matter. If you can play Impulse, you probably should. This card is absolutely fantastic, and it wasn't going to be gone long. We knew it was gone this format because it just wasn't that good, and now it is again, which is fantastic. But this card is premium. It's a Solemn from hand. We even saw it back in the Dynam Morphia list, just how many Solemns that a deck is willing to run. Dominus Impulse is quite arguably the best Solemn. It's a hand trap, and when paired with Imperium, it's a true Solemn. It just gets rid of the body. I know I won a game against Ryal the other day because I used Imperium on their combo piece, and then on the crackback, they summoned an ice, and then I just flipped Impulse, and it blew up the ice, and they passed. That was so strong, and I love Impulse right now. This card is so good. Should you play Droll and Lockbird? Now, this is a question that I've been getting asked a lot, just because Mitsurugi is going to be a deck, and that depends on how much you think you're going to find Mitsurugi in the room. I don't think I'm going to find it that much. I think that you could find it in Top Cut if someone does go ahead and convert with it, but at the same time, I don't really find that deck, A, to be very real, B, for people to be playing that over Ryal Fiendsmith, and C, Droll is a very good card already into things like Ryal Fiendsmith, so you could run it, but if your only reason for running Droll is Mitsurugi, I don't think that I would be on it if there's other cards that you find more valuable. Now, Droll as a card is very strong, and even running it as like a 2 of in your main or your side, I think is very possible. But again, the side deck is very tight, so if you find something else that's going to be more important, maybe you want to pick a different option. But at the same time, again, if you play Droll in the main and you run into Malice, you're going to have an awful time. So make sure that you're very smart about your card choices. If you don't know why it's there, you shouldn't be playing it. Droll, in my opinion, is like a 7 out of 10 card. I think that it's really strong right now, but only in certain situations. Now, lastly, Phantasme is getting popular, but be careful. Thrust is in everyone's main and side right now, and the second you summon a Phantasme, yeah, you're usually summoning against Malice to dig for a Lancia, which is fine, but be careful, right? This is going to be a thrust situation where you're going to be like, wow, this is unfortunate, right? This is something where your opponent can get to anything they want, especially because you have a monster on the board. So if you are dropping Phantasme into Malice, if you are okay with them comboing, what you can do is wait till your opponent summons back Whitebinder, because usually they'll have like a firewall or something on their board already, and then you can draw 3 and put back 2 during your turn, so you don't have to worry about your opponent doing anything too crazy, right? So I think that this card is going to be really strong into the format, but usually when used on your turn against Malice. The other card that I didn't put in this video that I think is really interesting right now is Spellbound. Again, just another card that will not play into Thrust, it won't play into Talent, and it will put your opponent at a very difficult position. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. If you haven't already checked out my Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, Discord, definitely go ahead and do so all down below, and then subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I can't wait to meet more of you in Orlando, and I'll talk to you all soon.